everyone, and welcome to Martin's Home and Garden's Houseplant of the Week. This week, our houseplant is going to be Calathea orbifolia, which is a stunning houseplant that's known for its beautiful foliage, and it's a part of a really big plant family that is also well known for all of its foliage. This one's a little different in the fact that it doesn't have the purple leaves or the red leaves or anything like that, but Calatheas are very well known for their foliage and lots of different varieties that they do have. They are little high maintenance plants, so they are going to need a little bit more, but we'll unpack all of that to where you get them into a really good groove in your home, and you'll be able to grow these plants into beautiful plants. Their size is one of the things that makes Calathea orbifolia really cool. So they can get up to 3 feet tall, and the leaves can get up to 1 foot wide each, so they can get really large and really big and be a really great focal point in your houseplant collection. They thrive in medium light, so they're not going to want that bright and direct light that a lot of houseplants want. They're going to want a little bit less. So if they are in like a south or east or west facing window, you're going to want to keep them in a corner kind of away from the window, where if they're in a north or east facing window, they'll do well in the windowsill or just a little bit away from it. They do really love humidity, so they're a great option for a well-lit bathroom or kitchen because there is more humidity in those rooms. But if that's not an option, there are other ways to give the plant the humidity that it needs. Whenever you have a Calathea orbifolia, it's pretty important to wipe the leaves off once a week as a way to add humidity with like a damp cloth or damp paper towel, just something like that. Or you can mist them with like a distilled or filtered water. They are pretty picky when it comes to watering because they're not drought tolerant, and they're also not very forgiving if they've been overwatered. So a good way to make sure that you're watering them is to skip a schedule for your Calatheas. They're not going to be like other houseplants where they're a bit easy and every Friday you go in there and make sure that you water. They're going to want to be tested, so you'll stick your finger in about 1 inch to 2 inches into the soil, and if you feel any moisture at all, you probably aren't going to want to water unless you see signs that your plant does need water. But if it doesn't have any moisture, then you are going to want to water. And when you do this, you'll want to use a distilled or filtered water as well, or allow the water that you're going to use to sit out for a day before you water your Calathea with that water. When it comes to repotting your Calathea orbifolia, you're going to want to make sure that you're using a really well-drained potting soil and that whatever pot you're using has drainage holes. This is essential for Calatheas because they do not want to sit in water, or the edges of the leaf or the whole leaf will probably turn yellow, and they don't do very well when they're stressed out. So to use a well-drained potting mix, you're going to want to use 2 parts of a premium potting mix, 1 part orchid bark, and 1 part perlite. And you can mix it yourself, or some potting soils will come with that already amended into it. Calatheas don't need fertilizer as much as other plants, probably about once a month, and you will want to dilute fertilizer a good bit for your Calatheas. The Calathea orbifolia is a pretty cool Calathea because it is a flowering Calathea in its natural habitat. It's not going to do that for us here, but that is something cool to note, is that it does have a flower, but it won't indoors. Calatheas are pretty tricky, so really making sure that you get them in the right niche for their growing habitat inside is pretty important, but they're a super rewarding plant, and they will actually raise their leaves at nighttime and drop them back down, which is pretty cool about them as well. So we are having a special on our Calathea since they're the houseplant of the week this week, and they are all 20% off. So come in and check out our different varieties. And if y'all have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, you can leave them in the comments, and we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you all for checking in, and we'll see you next week.